Alright guys, I do apologize for that. My internet cut out. I'm not going to go over this again. I'll just keep the video on my profile and whatnot. But what I was going to explain is what all power sources can actually power. So if you use a torch, then power can be taken from all four cardinal directions and also from the block above it. Which also means that it can also be taken from that, like that. The repeater right here is taking power from the block itself, not from the dust on top of the block. Alright? That's an important thing to note, and actually I want to keep that there. Now, a redstone power block can do much of the same. All four cardinal directions. Yep. And also the space occupying the top. However, the difference between torches and blocks is this. Torches push power to the top block, or to the space above it, which powers the block on top of it. Whereas blocks will power any dust that's on top of it, but will not power a block that's on top of it. So the block, if it was powered by a torch, would power this redstone dust on top of it, like this. Because redstone dust, whenever it's placed on something that has power, will be powered itself. But since the block here isn't being powered by the redstone block, the dust also does not receive power. The block only powers the space that is occupying the top of it, if it's above it. Same thing for below it. So if I just do this here, then it will occupy, or it'll power the space occupying the bottom of it, like right here, but will not power, obviously, right there. Now then, if I were to do a torch, it would be much of the same. So, do that. This torch sits at the same height that the redstone block was. Alright, now if a torch is on the block above this space, then it will power this space, which powers dust, which is the same as the redstone block. So, on the downwards direction, it's the exact same as redstone blocks. Torches and blocks are the same. On an upwards direction, torches have a slight advantage. Alright, there's that explained. Now then, back to this. Oh yeah, again, I want to do another overview because the video cut out. On gates, off gate, inverter, pass gate, AND gate, or nope, NAND gate, NAND, OR gate, and a NOR gate, NOR. Okay, so now we are going into level 2, I do believe, which is basically the level that I'm going to explain clocks in. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put latches in here too. So clocks and latches are essentially level 2. Level 3 will start piston mechanics. So yeah. Anyways, a redstone clock is something that repeats a redstone signal constantly, and it keeps repeating it over and over a specific period of time. Actually do that. Anyways, over a specific period of time. So this right here is a clock. If I put a torch on top of this block, you'll see that the torch turns off periodically, and it keeps turning off. It keeps turning off because of the block being powered, obviously, but it flashes on and off. This is actually useful for a light system or something similar to that. Not the repeaters themselves, because you never want redstone to be exposed, unless you do want redstone to be exposed, in which case by all means. But anyways, what you would do in order to make this into a light system: 4 torches and then lamps on top of all of them. And obviously they would turn off like that. Alright, now that is a clock. I'm trying to think if I explain this in the way that everyone would get it. Or if there's anything else I need to explain. Also, I want to experiment with another kind of clock. And this isn't, this is actually something that I'll get to a little bit later. But, if you know what I'm doing, then, yeah, then you're pretty good. But I want to experiment with this kind of clock that is non-tileable. Well, either tileable or non-tileable. I don't really give a shit, to be perfectly honest. Okay, do that. And a repeater. That's a comparator. Repeater. And that. Alright. Now, also, repeater here. Going into a block. Going into dust. Alright. Put that there on 4. Put that on 4. Alright. So basically, this this particular system, if I chuck an item in here, which I'll just use my map, it should, or not, and that's because it's one of those. If I place a piece of dust here, though, it will actually work. So, take the map out. Okay, yep. Hold up. Aww. That's because that's not... Okay. This cannot be dust. Because if it's dust, it will, you know, do that. Anyways, I'm trying to experiment with a specific type of redstone clock, which obviously is not going to be tileable. I thought it would be, but it won't be, so, yeah. Do that. Okay. There's one inverter, and it should work now, so place that in there. And ta-da, redstone clock. Now this one is unique in the fact that it actually has the ability to go around constantly, and it can actually be slower than repeater clocks. This here is not a hopper clock, this is actually a dropper clock. And the reason is because though it does use a hopper, it also uses a dropper. A hopper clock uses nothing but hoppers, so keep that in mind. And it's actually a shit ton smaller than this. But anyways, this is a 1 wide, 3 high, and 4 wide, or one wide this way, but like 4 wide this way. Anyways, clock. But anyways, yeah, I think I can just do this, and yep, and make it a lot faster. But anyways, like I said, this one has the unique ability of being a hell of a lot slower than this. Anyways, moving on, that is what clocks do. Latches. Yes, latches. They're actually a lot better than clocks, in my opinion. Basically, what is a latch? I know you've probably heard latches and all that shit before, but what exactly is a latch? A latch stops a redstone signal from going through until a specific condition is met. So, let's say I have a repeater going into a few blocks there, going down 1 block and up like this in order to power a redstone lamp. But if I have a sticky piston here with a block on its face, that obviously stops the redstone charge from going through. Why does that happen, you ask? Well, because the block cuts off the redstone. But if I leave this on, this is basically the easiest latch you will ever see. Because as soon as this piston moves and is extended, the dust will be carried forth to the redstone lamp. Ta-da! But I can toggle it from here too. I can toggle it from here while the dust is active, and I can also toggle it from here while the piston is active. So that is a latch. Now, NOR latches are basically mixing this principle into a NOR gate. So basically it's a type of latch, and I'm just going to use this as an example. It's a type of Okay. I'll just do that. Anyways, it's a type of latch that uses a sticky piston and a block to cut off a redstone signal. And actually, it doesn't need a sticky piston, but yeah, that's in order for the NOR latch to actually work properly. I'm going to use a sticky piston for it. So anyways, this is basically the largest NOR latch you will ever see. Now I'm going to show you another NOR latch. It's actually a different kind of NOR latch, but this is to explain a NOR latch. Obviously, the sticky piston is active, but so is the dust. So if one of these is active, hold up. This is a NOR gate. Anyways, if this one nor this one is active, then technically, actually, this is supposed to be put back here. So I'll go ahead and move it here. Not right there. Anyways, that is an OR latch. Anyways, if this one nor this one are both on, so if neither this one nor this one are on, then the redstone signal will pass through. But if one of them is on, obviously it won't. So yeah, that's an OR latch. Now that the other kind of NOR latch that I was talking about is an RS NOR latch, which is, I believe the RS stands for reswitchable, but I'm not entirely sure because they haven't been explained very well to me. So I'm just going to explain them as well as I can. I'm going to show you exactly how to build one if I can remember how to build it. Alright, so torch, repeater, block, torch, dust, I think, maybe. Oh yeah, also RS NOR latches use buttons, so yeah. No, that's not it. Maybe I need to do this. I'm so stupid. That's a clock. Arg. Well, anyways, there's actually a really simple NOR latch that that you can build. You can find it anywhere, but for the sake of saving time, I'm just going to explain NOR latches or RS NOR latches. RS NOR latches are NOR latches that work both ways, and you can reswitch them. That's it. Anyways, moving on to level 3, piston mechanics. This is actually something I'm decently good at for once. The rest of that, like the latches and gates, I very rarely ever use. Clocks I will use, and this right here, you will hear me refer to this as an end gate, END. But like whenever I say end gate, this is what I mean. I actually mean a latch, standard piston latch. But I call it an end gate because the video that I watched in order to learn that mechanic from actually used the term end gate in order to explain it. So sorry, I had to reload my Twitch. Anyways, so here we go, piston mechanics. I'm going to start with piston buds because that's actually kind of complicated, but relatively easy to explain. The piston bud is basically a glitch in the game that was never actually taken out, to where pistons can be extended if they are updated via a block update beside them, which I'll explain here in a minute. In conjunction with a power block that's either 2 spaces above them or one space beside them, like right here. So I'm going to show you first the 2 spaces above. So I have placed a power block on top of a normal block and then a piston underneath the normal block. The power block is not powering this block here. It is, however, powering the piston. I don't know why this specifically works, but it just does. Just go with it. Anyways, the redstone block is powering the piston, but the piston hasn't had an update yet, so it's, you know, still retracted and whatnot. If I go ahead and destroy this middle block, you'll see that the piston extends. Now, this is actually how this works, and I'm going to explain this particular part of it right now. Think of the top part of this piston as a piece of redstone dust. So imagine there's a piece of redstone dust right on top here, and it can never be broken unless the piston's broken, and it always stays there. The block here, the redstone power block, is actually powering the invisible piece of redstone dust here. So now obviously there's not actually a piece of redstone dust there, but you get my point. Just imagine there is. Anyways, the redstone block is actually powering the piece of invisible dust. However, if I were to destroy the redstone block, it won't actually unpower the invisible dust. Instead, it will keep it powered. Boom. This here is actually a really useful way of making fancy pistons or whatever in midair. For instance, if I were to do this like this, and do it like that, you could see that there's a piston floating in midair that's constantly extended. There's nothing actually, you know, powering the piston. So, yeah. Anyways, now what I just did was the corner one, and I'll explain that here in a minute. Now, if you were to place a block beside this or destroy a block that was already beside it, this is what would happen. So yeah, it would unpower the piston. So keep that in mind. Anyways, now if you think about it, this is actually the second way you can butt a piston. It works in much the same way as the other one, and you can think of the same type of invisible redstone dust thing example in order to see this. But basically, it works the exact same way, except the power block has to be directly diagonal to the piston. So it can't be up here, it can't be over here, or whatever. And then again, if you destroy the block, it'll bud the piston. So anyways, that's that. Oh yeah, also, if there's a power block beside a piston and you try to update the piston, it won't work. Just letting you know that right now. If you want the piston to update and stay updated, then you do this, and then destroy the block, and then destroy the redstone power block. Boom. So yeah, that's how you butt a piston. Anyways, I'm going to show you the effect that breaking a block has. So obviously, I placed the block a second ago, so break a block. Obviously, it destroys the butt piston. But anyways, I think this also works on the downward way, so nope, I guess not. That's something to keep in mind. It has to be upward. However, it can be upward either way. So, yeah, I didn't know that it doesn't work downward. That's a little weird. But anyways, that is piston bud. Now, obviously, I'm going to go, or not obviously, I keep saying that for some reason. Anyways, I'm going to go into a more basic piston mechanic for you. Powering a piston. Literally the easiest thing. Alright, so anything that is beside a piston can power a piston, as long as it's a power source. This includes dust, redstone blocks, redstone torches, levers, as long as the levers are connected to a block that is beside a piston, or occupying a space that is right next to a piston, like this. Other pistons can sort of, but it depends on the mechanic of the bud. So like if I have two pistons stacked on top of each other like this, and I bud one of them, the other one will not bud. But if I were to take a lever and flick the lever here, this now becomes a power block, and because this piston extended, it actually extended slightly before this piston, which then caused an update to this piston, which extends it further. That is why this works. Even though the bottom piston technically is not receiving power, it will still update the bottom piston. If I do this, you can actually kind of see that there's a glitch going on in the top piston, where the head appears slightly earlier. That's actually a graphical thing because of the way this works. When they de-extend, the top piston actually extends completely instantaneously, and then that updates the bottom piston. But the developers had to work in the extra frames in order to keep them both, in sync. Now, the reason that this doesn't show in the blocks is for much of the same reason, but there is still a graphical glitch from that, so yeah, keep that in mind. Anyways, that's why that works, is because the top piston is butting the bottom piston. Alright, so that's that. Pistons cannot be powered by a redstone power block on their face. That's kind of obvious, but yeah. However, they cannot be turned off, which is an interesting bug in the console version. This is not supposed to work this way. If there's a piston facing upward with a redstone power block on top of it, on its face, then it can't be turned off. It will constantly be active until the redstone power block is destroyed. This is due to the bud problem once again. But as long as the piston is on its side, this won't actually occur. So you can actually turn it off. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, one more thing. Pistons cannot push extended pistons, so I'm going to extend this piston. I'm going to try to push this piston. See, it can't actually extend, and I think the reason is because if it were to extend, the piston head, which is occupying this block here, would break and you would be able to pick it up. You're not supposed to be able to pick up a piston head, so yeah. However, pistons can push pistons like this. So yeah. Oh yeah, also if a piston fires fast enough, let's see if I can do it here. Okay, I can't do it like that. Anyways, if a piston fires fast enough, it will push a block but not retract the block. So I'm actually going to build a complex circuit here just to demonstrate that. Actually, yeah, I'll place it upward. This here will come, well, I will explain later, but for the purposes of explaining what this does, or how this mechanic works, I'm actually going to build it here. Now, as you saw, this piston extended, and when it did, this piston pushed this block up and then retracted just before it could pull it back. So, yeah. This also works backwards, so, yeah. There's that. Oopsie. Alright, next mechanic. I think I've covered all the piston mechanics, actually. Alright, now we'll go into level 4. So level 4 will be components on a greater scale. These are the other word that I couldn't think of earlier. That's what these things are. These are things that you can use to build bigger machines out of, which is technically what a component is as well, but components make up these things. So, yeah. And if I think of the name later, I'll say it out loud and probably exclaim it and say, hey, that's what it is. Anyways. The most basic one was actually the one I just built. So, basically, if you take a block, place it on the ground, place a repeater off of it, and then place a sticky piston underneath inside the ground here with a block on top of it, then place a repeater here, and then another sticky piston right here with a block on its face. This is what's known as a monostable circuit. The monostable circuits are also called one-tick circuits. And what they do is they only allow a pulse of one redstone tick to progress through the machine. So if I place a button here, this will allow the piston to extend the block and not retract it, like I just demonstrated. Alright, so this is what a one-tick circuit is, also called a monostable. It also turns a button into a switch. So if this was a power block, which is why I actually put this on its face, if this was a power block, this would be a switch right now. Hold on a minute. Need a redstone lamp again. I'll get rid of the stone. Anyways, this would be a switch. So, oopsie. I forgot that doesn't work unless it's like that. Anyways, by the way, what happened there was the repeater was pushing a double charge into this thing, which was also charging the block beside it. But anyways, if I press this button now, it will switch the redstone block and make a switch out of the button. This thing is incredibly noisy, but it is a hell of a lot useful, and it will come in handy later on. This is, once again, called a monostable circuit. Just this right here. Now then, a T flip-flop. T flip-flops are incredibly easy to make, and they are incredibly useful, so if I just go ahead and make one. By the way, in order to make a T flip-flop, you have to... actually, technically, this is technically a T flip-flop, but this right here is what makes it a T flip-flop. So this piston here and this. What a T flip-flop is basically... okay, I actually explained both of them at the same time, which is not what my intention was. Anyways, up until this repeater is a monostable circuit, but the monostable coupled with this piston here makes it a T flip-flop. So this right here is a T flip-flop, unless it's just, you know, these four things. But anyways, moving on. Don't have to explain T flip-flops. Let me think. I think I can move into counters now. So, what a counter is basically it will count a redstone charge, obviously, but it does it a specific way. This is probably the most basic counter you would ever see. Ever. And that was not supposed to happen. But anyways, that's because of that. This is a faulty counter. I don't like using these things. And you saw why, and that's why right there. This is actually one of the least useful counters you will ever see, but it's also one of the simplest to make. So, yeah. Now, this is only one kind of counter. I'm going to move into another kind of counter, which I have to use a T flip-flop for. No, I have to use a monostable for it. So anyways, if I just build it here... okay. This is the power block button, so do that. And then monostable it. Boom. There's that. Repeater. Torch. Block. That can't be a torch there. It actually has to be a torch on the side of it, so actually I can just build it like this. Boom. And then I have to do this. Now this one actually uses hoppers, which I'll get to here in a second. Get to explaining here in a second. Yeah, it goes around this way. So I need to build it backwards. 4 or 5. I'll just do that. Alright, so obviously this is a hopper loop. If you don't know what hoppers are already, I'm sorry. But I'm not going to explain it right now. So, I'll explain it here in a minute. But for the purposes of this little thing here, I'm going to just forego it for now. Alright, this also requires comparators. And then blocks here. And then, actually I'll put these on the top. All except for that one. Anyways, this is a hopper clock, and actually I need to fill this one. What it does is it counts up one space. What? What the hell? Oh, because it's taking it too fast. Anyways, it counts up one space, and it will continue counting up one space. Get rid of that. Anyways, it'll continue to count up one space until the end of it, and then it will recycle. So do that, and then do that, and one for good measure, because that's actually technically this one, or it was supposed to be. Hold up. Okay, it's right there for some reason. But anyways, this is what's known as a hopper clock. Can't I just... No, I can't do that. Alright, I know how to fix this problem, because it's actually a very annoying problem. So, I'm going to go ahead and fix it now. Button there, repeater there. Alright. So anyways, it every time you press this button, it will go one space down the line until it resets. And reset. And then you press it one more time to initiate it again. This particular one has 7 settings. There's the 6 for the lamps, and then the 7th is off. So right here's off, where none of the lamps are powered. This thing will probably be the counter that I use, but yeah, I'm going to explain every part of it right now. So anyways, obviously we have the monostable circuit right here, tied into an inverter. The inverter is actually powering this thing, which has the sandstone in it, the torch is anyway, and it's also powering this dust here, which is powering every single hopper on this line, on the side of the line, which once the dust is powered will stop the item go in the hopper from going to the next hopper. The comparator is taking a charge from the comparator, or from the hopper that the item is in, and placing it into the block, which then is powering the lamp that's above it. Once the item reaches this hopper and the button is pressed again, the hopper will release the item, and the item will travel all the way back down to this hopper here. And in order to get the that lamp to turn on again, you'd have to press the button again, which puts it in this hopper. And that's pretty much how this thing works. Literally the simplest counter you could ever build. However, I don't like this particular counter because you cannot use a decoder with it. A decoder will not work. However, if you wanted multiple outputs, then this is pretty much the counter for you. This counter, like I said, is faulty because of the way it works. This counter works perfectly fine for that kind of thing. So yeah, you can use this as a daylight cycle or a calendar type thing. If you hook up a daylight sensor to this repeater here, then it will count how many days have passed, and it will store the information here. And when if you only have 6 lamps, it will be a 7-day cycle. However many lamps you have, you always add 1 to the number count in order to get it to where you want it to be. Okay, If there's any questions, then go ahead and ask me in the comments, or like send me a message on Twitch or whatever, or on PSN. If you have any questions. If you understand this so far, then just go ahead and keep watching. But yeah, stay tuned for part 2. I'm not going to do it yet, but basically it's going to expand upon counters and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please shoot me a follow and follow me. If you want to support me, then please spread my channel around to as many people as you can. My channel is growing still, and I'm hoping to be able to become well known enough to actually do something for people. So yeah, if you want to check out my YouTube, Twitch, or Wattpad channels, then go ahead to twitch.tv, go to my profile, scroll down, or go to my channel rather, scroll down below the video, and you'll see links to all of those, as well as my own website. And I think that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for part 2, eventually.